want them to understand this is not any other day of protest. It is the day we liberate ourselves. We have to put our tools down to make sure that we come to Nane Nane, we come to CBD, and we march forward to State House for that small meeting of 2 to 3 million youths together with the president. One thing that we are sure of, we are dealing with our outgoing president is clearly a mad person. He's a person who has psychosis.
Don't favor me. If you think I'm BSing you guys, tell me. But if you think I'm doing a good job, encourage me. There are many, many people who are adults, who are all elderly, who are old, who want to change everything. They are going to support you. Be fair to them. They will work with you. Will there be betrayers in the struggle? Yes. Must that stop you? No. I think that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Senator. Asante sana. Elvis.
Yes, Edgar. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. You wanted to address an issue on hizi
Immigration
jobs
and
zenye
jobs.
tunaambiwa ziko majuu.
Yes.
Hizi jobs tunaambiwa ziko majuu, tutalipiwa ndege, tutafute tu passport in 1 week.
Yes.
So you have at least 2 minutes.
Yeah, so I'll be very quickly because of time. Number one, straight to the point. I've had the president going around from county to county telling people that we've created jobs abroad for you. You'll be getting a passport in, I don't know, 1 week, and then you go to the airport, you just board a flight and go abroad. So I want to tell you guys there's nothing like that. You know, from the events of June 25th, whatever happened, like people breaching parliament, that guy knows he lost his legitimacy and he's trying by all means to make sure that the legitimacy is back. He knows he lost it, but he's trying to use all kinds of lies to get this back. So, about the issue of jobs abroad, he said today that on the website they have about 400,000 jobs listed. I went through that website. All those jobs that are there, they are talking of maids, housekeepers, drivers. I think it's instant for someone who has gone to school. You are well schooled. You are well educated. You're being sent to the Gulf to go and become a housemaid somewhere for maybe like 20,000 every month. That is not something we anticipate as Kenyans. That is not the Kenya we want. Remember, during the 2022 elections campaign, this guy used to promise us that we'll be here, we'll create jobs for you here. Please vote us in. The moment he got into power, he started chasing away investors by increasing taxes and doing all sorts of nonsense to make sure that we don't have jobs locally. Number two, about the jobs in the West, that is Australia, UK, England, um, Canada, and USA. Immigration has really changed. We have a lot of immigration laws that a lot of people don't really know. They have put a cap on student visas, on skilled work visas. Basically, there are no jobs. And if you go to the government websites of these listed countries from Germany, UK, Canada, Australia, they have a list called shortage of occupations list. Take time and go through it. They have specific listed jobs, which are professional jobs, and in most cases, they are just medical jobs only, not any other job that this guy is trying to go around the country telling people. There's no way you expect someone who has not, maybe they haven't been able to afford school fees to go to university. You're lying to him that I signed a deal in the UK and you're going to get a job there. There's nothing like that. At the moment, we're in the whole of in the West, the USA have elections. UK, they just had elections recently. And the first priority, they said, we are going to restructure immigration. We are going to reduce legal immigration. We are going to tackle illegal immigration. Basically, they want to train their own skills first, like skills in their own country. And then the remaining slots, that is when they can invite any other people to come from abroad to come and fill them. At the moment, for those who follow the NHS recruitment, let's say, for example, in the UK, the recruitment of healthcare workers has drastically reduced. Up to now, the NHS has not gotten its yearly budget to recruit from abroad. What they are technically doing is reducing the number of skilled workers coming to the country. The same thing is in America, the same thing is in Canada, the same thing is in Sweden, Germany, Australia. In Australia, it's now even more tough. If you're going there on a student visa, make sure you're going there on the right course, maybe like going to study something like medicine, nursing, occupational therapy, any other thing apart from that, then it's going to be hard from you, because they say at the end of your studies, you have to exit the country and go and apply the job from your from your own home country. Technically, they are telling you, will lead to give us your money. A lot of rogue agencies. Just because the president has pronounced that we have jobs abroad, you will see these agencies coming up and lying to people that we have jobs abroad, pay this amount of money, and we'll connect you to a job, or maybe like a student visa.
All right.
So what will happen next? Mtauza mashamba zenu, and you
All right.
end up being duped. I have a lot
Thank
of
you.
people in my DM complaining over these same things. People are depressed abroad, and there's nothing they can do about it. Tafadhali kaeni rada.
Asante. Thank you very much, Elvis. We continue. Ask for the mic. This is a citizen assembly. It is for everyone. Lewis, what are the protest on 8th? Can you tell us the protest points? What are the things that we must ensure that we are going to raise as we go on the streets on 8th of August? 8th of August, nane nane. Lewis.
Cool. So obviously, Nane is a public holiday as declared by the people, and I've seen that one of the things that's happening across the country, unfortunately, is that a lot of young people, they're being recruited by whoever. Obviously, we know who these people are, and they're making proclamations. Today, I was dealing with a problem in Laikipia with supposed Gen Z leaders calling off the maandamanos that we are planning to have, and they said very strongly, and obviously they've been looking for me. Unfortunately, I've changed my phone number because DCI has the other one, so they can text on that one. But we've been dealing with a lot of diversions from the political class, and it's been thoroughly frustrating, especially for me who lives in a small town. You wake up in the morning and then we say we're doing mandamanos at this time, and then somebody comes up with a different poster. Of course, one of the things that is our strength is also sort of our weakness. The fact that we are leaderless, obviously, we are tribeless, and then we don't have a central point of organization. It can, at some point, become a deterrent, because if anybody says that, for example, I'm saying in Nanyuki, let's meet in town, somebody produces a poster and then they say we meet at a different location, I don't have that latitude to say, no, we're not. Of course, I'd say it, but obviously, when these people are sponsored, they're sponsored with the intention that when I push back on their plans, they will reiterate on the fact that we're leaderless. And then they'll say, you're trying to make yourself our leader. But anyway, it happens, all these things happen. But on Nane Nane, we're insisting that across the country, I was having a conversation with a few people this past weekend, and we were saying if we are able to do it, even as we shut down, we do the mandamanos in Nanyuki, we're thinking even of ways in which if we're able to do on Nane Nane, anybody across this country was able to go to the CBD. Personally, after if I'm able to do it, I'll just come to Nairobi as soon as I'm done, because I'm just 3 hours away. We occupy Nairobi and then we say Nane Nane, because what happened when we occupied the parliament, and I've been having this conversation with people, is that we left. We didn't make it stick. The next time we go to Mandamanos, we need to make it stick. If we're able to go all of us to Nairobi CBD and occupy CBD, it will even be better. The ones who are not able, you need to hold fort at areas at your home areas. We also want to make sure that it's very peaceful, but it must be disruptive. And the people that keep showing up, because every single time we've had protest in Nanyuki, we've had to deal with goons. And again, and I keep insisting, our strength in the fact that we're leaderless is also sort of our weakness, because even when government operatives, and we know these people on social media, when they wake up with propaganda, they print posters in the same format we print posters. The other day, they were attacking some of the key members of this protest, and they're very, very vocal, and they're very organized. They wake up in the morning and then they target you. Last Sunday, some people were saying I was meeting the governor of Laikipia. Not sure what me and the governor of Laikipia will be talking about, but whatever, I guess. But on Nane Nane, it has to be said across this country. everybody needs to wake up, and we need to make sure that this is our responsibility. Everybody needs to make it their personal responsibility to bring someone on board. And as soon as you're done, because I'm sure Mandamanos in Nanyuki, because we are a rather chill town, we probably will be done by 5 p.m. If I leave Nanyuki at 5 p.m., I should be in Nairobi by 8:30. Tulale huko. Wale wanakuja na chai, they bring tea, so that it has to mean something. This nane, we can't afford to do mandamanos half. And I think that's also why we are taking this break between now and up to that time. If and I'm sure that some people are able to do with minimal meals, but I think on nane, if you're done with your mandamanos and you're able to make it to Nairobi, we should all go to Nairobi, to Kayuko, because that's our capital. And I think that's exactly where these people feel it the most. Our president clearly doesn't understand the language of conversation. The other day he keeps telling us about anarchy, he keeps telling us about the instability of our country. It's a bunch of nonsense, because if somebody comes to your home and then they beat down your child and then they are stealing your TV, you walk into the living room and then this person is like, hey bro, please don't respond because it will be chaotic. So be it, let it be chaotic, because that's the whole point. We want to make sure that we are heard, na hiyo time ikifika tusikike. Money,
Mr. Lewis, let me just clarify
yes,
something. Anyone telling you
yes,
about anarchy is an idiot. We have a constitution that is
true.
very, very much alive. It is well drafted there. If William Ruto and his deputy go home, there is a person who is supposed to take that seat for about, I think, 90 days, as we are having a re-election. Where the hell is the
Yes,
anarchy coming from? Hata niambie wase,
they should tell
msiogope.
us.
There's
This
nothing
story
to
ya
worry
anarchy
about
is
right now.
yeah. So, and this is our country. Let nobody try and pretend like we just showed up into this country today. We've been quiet as these people plundered our nation. By the time tunasema this is gonna be a problem, when we say, guys, we're done, we're tired of listening to this, someone is telling us, guys, don't burn this country down. But you've been burning this country down for 50 years. So when it's our turn, we're not even burning it down. We're saying we're going to sit somewhere, we're going to march. I don't know where we'll march to, but I'll be, when watakuwa CBD mtaniambia tu when I get there at 8:30 p.m. But on nane, I will be ready to even walk. If they close the roads, tutajua tu njia ya kuingia CBD. But after we're done with mandamanos in Nanyuki, I'm making arrangements as we speak. Obviously, citizen planned. The guys who are saying that we've cancelled mandamanos in Laikipia, I've been made aware of some of them, who they are. Pointless people, unfortunately. But so that's that. On Nane, we will be there. In Nanyuki, I'll take it. It's going to be my personal responsibility to make sure it happens. We'll do our best to make sure it's peaceful. And then after we're done, we'll be in the CBD. Thank you.
Oh, just a minute. Msiseme niko na kirere sana. I just feel like my questions, my rage hasn't really been satisfied enough. I wanted to ask Okiya Omtata about the niobium in Kwale, pale Mlima Hills. Mr. Okiya Omtata, you told me Jacob Juma alitoa documents in your office. What happened next? Why isn't anyone? Why hasn't our country taken this initiative of taking these minerals and injecting them in our economy? What the hell is going on? Please, Mr. Okiya Omtata, talk to us.
Paulo, I don't think Okiya Omtata is on the speaker panel. Acha nampatia mic, then I think atajibu. But meanwhile, Mkenya Daima, I can see your hand is up and you wanted to address the issue on nane. Juu unaniambia damu yako imechemuka we pamoja na Kilundizi.
Yeah, thank you, Edgar Bwire. I want to make it very clear that Nane is our Independence Day. Very clear that Nane is our Independence Day. It is the day we liberate ourselves economically. And I want Kenyan youths and everyone in this economy to understand that we have to put our tools down to make sure that we come to Nane, we come to CBD, and we march forward to State House for that small meeting of 2 to 3 million youths together with the president. One thing that we are sure of, we are dealing with our outgoing president is clearly a mad person. He's a person who has psychosis. He's someone who we can clearly tell he has lost touch with the reality. That's someone who is suffering from psychosis. That's something that clearly we can tell right now. We don't need anything else. We don't need it, and it's not someone who can solve our problem. And since we've realized our problems, where they are stemming from, on Nane Nane, I want every youth, I want everyone who thinks they are doing business. We want everyone in all sectors. It's an Independence Day, and I want you guys to understand what we are talking what we are saying when it's Independence Day. It is the day we liberate our country. Nothing else matters at this point. That is what I want most of you to understand. That is what I want those people who feel like they are not understanding our conversation. I want them to understand this is not any other day of protest. It is the day we liberate ourselves. It's the day we economically liberate ourselves, because we've realized that we are a rich country. We are a country that has enough resources, has enough minerals to fix ourselves. We are a country that, people have been borrowing for whatever stupid reason, like buying belts. Wengine tunalipia huyu apeleke wasichana sijui Dubai and everything. No, we are just tired. We need to fix our country. I want you guys to understand that cumulatively, this is a cumulative pain, and we have to settle the scores on Nane Nane. I want us to march, and when we are marching, I don't march from behind, I march from front. And we get to CBD, ikibidi tukae pale chini. We are not running. We are not going to play sijui rat race with the police. We are not going to do that kind of nini. We just stay there and we march forward to State House, and when Nane Nane, we must be out. It's our Independence Day.
Okay, asante sana Mkenya for keeping it at 1 minute. Kilundizi, you've told me that you're boiling.
Thank you, Edgar. First of all, I would like to thank you for this opportunity. And for me, I feel like Ruto is a mad person because he keeps lying every day. And for anyone who is believing or who thinks that there will be a change, I think I have to tell you I'm sorry. First of all, I'm beginning to feel like Ruto is the problem, because there is no way he was going to is bringing back the same people. Now I'm beginning to feel like maybe anawatumanga, akiwatuma hiyo pesa zenye wanga wanaiba wanamletea. So for me, I feel like Nane, that is the time we should be together. Ukiona mwenzako anaenda kushikwa unakwama na yeye. I think sijui kama mliona video ilikuwa ina go around Twitter, jamaa alikatalia jamaa kabisa akienda kuarestiwa. And I want to tell everyone, going to maandamano is an individual decision. Usiende pale juu ati unaona wasee wanaenda. Enda juu unajua chenye
Wait,
unafanya.
Kilundizi,
You know what will happen to us in the
Kilundizi,
future. Yes.
Kilundizi. Unaweza ongea tu
Yep.
Kiswahili. I think Kiswahili kila mtu atakuelewa. You don't have to struggle with
Na ndio
the
naongea saa hizi.
sawa.
Ndio naongea saa hizi so far. So ndo nasema kama ni kwenda maandamano, wacha ikuwe ni your individual decision, yani kitu iko kwa roho. Usiende juu unaona wasee wanaenda. Again, kuna wenye walifeel ni kama wamekatishwa motisha. Usifeel kama umekatishwa motisha juu ati kuna big ulikuwa una maybe unaangalia, yani ni kama alikuwa amekuwa model wako kwa hiyo maandamano. Ujue kuna wenye already wako compromised, and that is something that happens ikifika kwa movement. Yangu si mengi, but ni kusema Nane tutokee mazi. Ni hayo tu.
Okay, thank you so much Kilundizi. So I'm trying as much as possible to bring in a set of new speakers. I want as many people to speak as possible. So I'm going to let in Kenyan Germany lady. Hi, what do you have to say?
Hi, sorry. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. First of all, I'd like to send my condolences to those who lost their lives. Excuse me if my voice is not quite okay. I'm still not well. I'd like to tell Kenyans you don't realize what you have achieved. You don't realize that you're currently imprisoned in your own country. Nobody is going to be allowed to leave, especially those who've been outspoken on the matters of protest. But there is hope. People will be allowed to leave when Mr. Ruto leaves. And those who still refer to him as president don't understand what it means to govern a country. They don't really understand civic history and what a president should achieve. Now, I'd like to tell you that first of all, people are frustrated. I see that there are less spaces, less numbers of people on spaces. But what I see is a regime forming, a regime in the making. You are a regime. You, people who come on the spaces, the bigger population of a country recognizes this as the current regime. That means Mr. Williams' regime is illegitimate. He can appoint as many people as he wants to. That regime, as is currently run, with the removal of the mace on the 25th, is illegitimate and he can be removed from power. Now, I would like to just brief you a bit on a few things, especially going on to the protests. Now, a government is typically recognized as an organization or group of people or individuals that governs a community or state. It usually comprises three main branches, okay? The legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. So governments are tasked with creating and enforcing laws, setting policies, and managing public resources. It has failed in the management of public resources, and that again makes it not be viewed as a government in such. It is only a regime on paper currently. There is an acting president who's not recognized by the majority of the population. That means the actual regime is the one on the spaces right now. And then also, recognition of a government can be either one, de facto or de jure, okay? So de facto recognition means you acknowledge a government that has control over a state, even if it hasn't been legally established. Even if it hasn't been legally established. And that is what we're seeing on the spaces. This is the current regime. And then the de jure recognition, on the other hand, refers to the legal acknowledgement of a government as the legitimate authority of a state. The international community can actually recognize a de facto regime as legitimate. It has happened many times before. And now I've really talked about that. I want to talk about parallel regimes. So there is hope. I'm telling you, there is hope. You can take that country and you can force him into exile. And that will happen if he doesn't step down. Now, let's talk about a bit about parallel regimes. A parallel regime refers to a situation where two or more groups claim to be the legitimate government of a state. A legitimate government has the majority support of the population, which is not the situation in Kenya. That makes it, again, an illegitimate regime. So this can occur, mostly it occurs during times of political instability. Check, that is happening in Kenya. It occurs during civil wars, revolution. So one group might control the capital and major institutions, often recognized as the de jure government. So what is currently in Kenya is the one recognized internationally. It is the de jure, but there's the de facto. The de facto government is what you guys are, okay? So while another group might control significant portions of the territory or population, It is often recognized or referred to as the de facto regime. You are currently a parallel regime. You can elect actually your own president if you wanted to, with entire cabinet ministers, and declare the other regime illegitimate. You have the support of the international community, and it's dying down because they're seeing, okay, Kenyans are kind of quieting down, but you still have that support. Now, let me talk about just a bit. I want to expound on this because I'm going to the 99 issue. I've talked about the parallel regime. In China, from 1949 to date, there is a parallel regime in practice. In Korea, 1948 to date. In Libya, between 2014 to 2021, Gaddafi, with Libya, it's so two rival governments running the country. In Yemen, 2015 to present, there is a parallel regime. In Venezuela, 2019 to present, and I also led the protests of 1st of May in Venezuela of this year. So I was there, and we talked about the parallel regime issue. In Somalia, 1991 to date, there is, those of you who know, Pan-Africanists especially know Somaliland, they want secession from Somalia. So from 1991, there has been a parallel regime, complete with cabinet ministers, with their own president, with their own flag, and that is what you guys can do. But because you're the majority, the Kenyan flag belongs to you. The other regime, William Ruto's, is illegitimate. Please understand that.
Thank you so
And
much
then also, oh,
for
I've talked too
acknowledging.
much?
Yeah, you do talk
I've
too
talked
much.
too
You
much.
do talk too much. But thank you so much for acknowledging that
All right.
within the place that you come from, there are levels of, deprivation of maybe where you would have been as it were then, because now you want to, without actually mentioning specific ways you will do it, bring our country down. I want to let you know, you have actually talked about state of anarchy, and you have actually tried to turn the
Edgar, mnapeaje Kigen mic hapa jini?
Okay, I'm sorry. Kenyan,
I'm not saying
Kenyan
Kenyans
Germany
should go
lady.
and form their own
Listen,
government.
listen. Kenyan Germany
I'm
lady,
saying,
kindly land so that we can also give someone else a
all
chance.
right. All right, I'm landing. Now, with what Mr. Ruto has said, he said that those who are flying abroad are going to receive tickets, etc. I would like to tell you that on the 31st of July last year, following the Maandamano, Kenya was declared a travel risk. So that is not possible, especially right now. So I'm just urging you, I'm not telling you to form your own government. I'm saying there is already a government in existence. This is the regime. Whether or not, I'm not saying you go and take over the other government, the other regime. I'm saying you already have the numbers to have your own regime. It is already in practice. It's just not on paper. So thank you very much for giving me the chance to speak. And I urge you, for the guys, for the sake of those who passed away, please keep fighting. And I'm not talking about anarchy, Eric. Thank you.
Can you hear me, Edgar?
Perfectly.
All right.